What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Talking Sports with Manny, and this is your host, Manny. Let's get it. Welcome to episode 10, y'all. This is an episode I've been trying to do for a while. The Bucs versus the Saints, the new rivalry. My heart goes out to George Floyd and his family. Just praying for the nation, praying for the people. Black lives do matter. I just want to thank everybody who was supporting the movement. And I just pray that we just get to a place where Black people feel safe, where the police is doing their jobs, and things are better. 2020 has been a tough year, and let's just pray that, things get better. Ever wanted to make a podcast but never really knew how? Well, Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. There's a creation tool that allows you to record right from your phone or computer, and as well as editing as well. Anchor will distribute your podcast to places such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can also monetize from your podcast. You can download the Anchor app for free at the App Store, or you can go to anchor.fm to get started. Ever since Tom Brady got to the Bucs, they've been thinking Super Bowl. It's going to be fun seeing Tom Brady versus Drew Brees twice a year. Of course, we don't know how long Tom Brady or Drew Brees are going to play. Honestly, I think that Drew Brees has one more year. This might be his last year. And I think that Tom Brady probably plays 2 years. Now, the Saints defense were ranked number 13 in total defense. Against the pass, they were ranked number 20, and against the run, number 4. Marshon Lattimore is a straight beast. Headed into his 4th year, he's going to get paid. Janoris Jenkins is a very good corner as the number 2 corner. And yes, he's not the same Jenkins that he was with the Giants, but he's still very effective. Marcus Williams had 10 interceptions in his first 3 years. He's heading into year 4. Just like Marshon Lattimore, Marcus Williams is going to get paid. He's one of the better safeties in the NFL currently. And, of course, the Saints picked up Malcolm Jenkins from the Eagles. He started with the Saints, went to the Eagles. Now he's back with the Saints. And Marcus Williams and Malcolm Jenkins, that's a very nice safety duo. One of the best on paper, but we have to see how they gel. Of course, they have DJ Swearinger on the team. He should help that group to make them one of the best secondaries in the league. But I don't know if DJ Swearinger makes the team. But if he does, he's definitely going to add nice depth. He can play both safety positions, and he's a good leader when he's on his game. I can say that. As far as the pass rush, Cam Jordan, he's going to go down as one of the greatest Saints to ever play this game. He has 87 career sacks so far at age 30, and he just continues to get better. I don't see him slowing down anytime soon. He's never had a season besides his rookie year. He's never had a season where he had less than 7.5 sacks. Now on the inside, the D tackles, you got 2 former first rounders, Sheldon Rankings and Malcolm Brown. Those are 2 big boys. They really do a good job at stuffing the run. And Sheldon Rankins has great potential at getting to the quarterback. He had 8 sacks one of the years. I think it was like his 3rd year in the league. Marcus Davenport rounds out that 4-3 front. Marcus Davenport entering his 3rd year. His first 2 years, he's been decent, but he hasn't been what they've been looking for. And I believe the Saints did trade up to get Marcus Davenport. So, I mean, he's really got to improve, getting to the quarterback. I know he gets pressures and everything, but he has to take his game to a whole nother level. If the Saints defense want to crack the top 10 and even the top 5, Marcus Davenport got to take that next level. And if he takes that next level, this defense can really be special. I feel that this group can create a lot of turnovers this year. As far as linebackers go, Demario Davis, 100-plus tackles. He's very solid. You got Kiko Alonso out there. You even got a rookie, Zach Bond, to watch out for from Wisconsin. The boy can play. He's going to be a very nice addition to the team. Christopher on Twitter, my boy Christopher, his handle is 287EDMS. He says, can the Saints get stops without effing themselves in critical moments? It seems like the Saints have always had a decent defense, but they always have those plays where they mess up. For example, the Minnesota Miracle, when Stephon Diggs caught that pass over the safety. Plays like that. They have a lot of potential, and I see them doing a lot of great things. But it really boils down to, can you get to the quarterback on third downs, and can you get some interceptions? You're going to need turnovers. And like Christopher says, you got to get those plays in critical moments. So that's what it's going to boil down to this season for the Saints defense to take that next level. You got to get to the quarterback consistently. You got to force more turnovers. Marshawn Lattimore has his side locked, but some of these other guys really got to step up. Let's get on to the Bucs defense. The Bucs defense ranked 30th against the pass, and they ranked first against the run. Polar opposites. They ranked number 15 in total defense. Now, the Bucs defensive line / pass rush is very nice. The Bucs run a 3-4 with William Golston out there, Vita Vea, Dominican Sue. That's some big bodies up there in the middle, and you see why they were able to stuff the run so well. But Dominican Sue definitely has some pass rush ability. All of these guys do, just because, in the 3-4, those three usually don't get to the quarterback as much because it's not set up that way. It's really to create pressure up the middle. And, these guys definitely try to get to the quarterback while stopping the run. Jason Pierre-Paul has been very good the first 2 seasons with the Bucs. That's why they went on and extended him, brought him back. His first year, he had 12.5 sacks. Last year, which was year 2, he had 8.5 sacks. Shaquille Barrett is a monster. It's crazy that he played 4 years with the Broncos and had about 14 sacks, and then played 1 year with the Bucs and he had 19.5 sacks. I'm telling you guys, this is not a fluke. This guy can really play, but it's really hard to get a lot of love in Denver when you have Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, and some of the other great pass rushers that they've had out there that I don't even know. But he came out here to the Bucs. The system was just beautiful. Everything was just awesome for him. So he really got to show his skills and what he can do. Of course, they franchised him, but he's going to prove it this year, and he's going to get that big paycheck. Year 2, under this same defense, they brought back pretty much everybody. He's going to be a problem, man. Shaquille Barrett can really play. As far as the linebackers go, Devin White and Levante David, they get to fly around. They get to make plays. I expect both to go over 100 tackles each. Both are going to cause plenty fumbles. They're going to get a few sacks and a few INTs here and there. But This defense is really predicated on getting to the quarterback and stuffing the run. If these pass rushers can take another step, if they can get something out of William Golston, they can really do some things, okay? Now, when you get to the secondary, they're a really young group. I think everybody is in like either year 2 or 3 outside of Antoine Winfield, who was my favorite safety in the draft that the Bucs just picked up. I think the guy can do it all. He can play strong safety. He can play the free safety. We'll really see how the Bucs use him. The guy is talented. He can tackle. He can cover. You name it, he can do it. Now, the other 3 guys, Carlton Davis, Jordan Whitehead, and Sean Murphy Bunting, if these 3 guys can step up with what they already have up front in the front 7, this defense can be very special. I expect this defense to take a step forward. There's no way they're in the bottom half of pass defense. For one, the offense is really going to help to set up the defense. They're going to be playing with the lead a lot. So I don't see a lot of, catching up when you're catching up. Defense wasn't so good last year. So, it was just a lot of mess last year that I think that can be corrected this year. A lot of these players, like I said, have gotten a lot of experience last year. They're young, especially in the secondary. If this secondary really holds up and really takes a step, this defense can be amazing. And, of course, with a better offense, and I believe they'll have a better running game, I think this defense is going to be very, very good. That front 7, like I said, is one of the best in the entire league. I see Jason Pierre-Paul getting double-digit sacks. I see Shaquille Barrett about 15 sacks, Jason Pierre-Paul about 12 sacks. Vita Vea and Dominican Sue is going to do their thing. Devin White, Levante David, like I said, flying around. This defense is going to be special. All right, let's get on to the Saints offense. Now, let's start with the offensive line. Okay, you have Ramczyk out there, Ryan Ramczyk. I hope I'm saying it right. He's one of the best right tackles in the league. They also let go of a right guard. Can't think of his name right now. And drafted Cesar Ruiz from Michigan, who played a lot of center in college. But, a lot of these centers in college are very versatile. They can play, 3 positions, right guard, center, left guard. So he's very athletic, and they really wanted a guard that can move, unlike the guard they had before. Although that guard was a Pro Bowl guard, he was one of the slowest guards in the league. So they wanted to go with speed on the offensive line. You got Eric McCoy at center, Andrews Pete at left guard, Armstead at left tackle. Very, very solid offensive line. They're going to be very athletic for what they want to do. Some of these guards can get into space and really create some seams for Alvin Kamara, being that they love to throw a lot of screen passes. And the tight end, Jared Cook, he was very solid last year. He really took a step. I believe he had 9 touchdowns. That's huge for a tight end. And Jared Cook is one of those tight ends that, he was solid at Tennessee and, solid at Oakland. But I believe that he has the potential to catch, up to about 60 to 70 catches and about 1,000 yards. But the 9 touchdowns was really, really, awesome. Being that they were weak at wide receiver, so Jared Cook really had to be, he was really their second option after Michael Thomas in the passing game. Well, I'll take that back. Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, then Jared Cook. But you guys get what I'm saying. So I believe they're very solid at tight end. They got Josh Hill, as a backup. And this rookie, Adam Troutman, this guy has a potential to be very, very nice. He had a nice tape coming into the league. I believe he's one of those guys that's going to be groomed for a couple years, and then has a chance to really blossom into a very nice tight end. He's definitely talented. So that was a good pickup for the Saints. But for now, Jared Cook and Josh Hill. Then we get into the wide receivers. You got Traquan Smith, who was just, I really don't know what to say about Traquan Smith. His first year in the league, he had moments where you would look at him and say, man, this guy can really be a nice wide receiver too. And then he has other moments where he just disappears, but Drew Brees makes anybody look good. Drew Brees makes a lot of people look relevant. But the good thing about Traquan Smith is that he's 6'2", 210 pounds. So that's very nice size. And I think he'll be a better wide receiver 3 than a wide receiver 2. Then, of course, you have Emmanuel Sanders at wide receiver 2. This guy right here, he's a veteran, but he knows how to run routes. He's one of the crispiest route runners in the league and still has elite speed, can still get open and has great hands. So he'll be a great addition to the Saints. I can see him flirting with about 1,000 yards, maybe about 6-7 touchdowns. Like I said, Drew Brees makes people look very, very good. And Emmanuel Sanders had a good season last year, but it was just that, he was playing with Joe Flacco. When he went to San Francisco, he really got to show more with a better quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo. Then, of course, you have Michael Thomas, who broke the NFL record this past season. He's a special wide receiver at 6'3", 212 pounds, but he's very strong. Not the fastest guy, but knows how to get open and knows how to use his big frame. Now, ever since Michael Thomas came into the league, these are his numbers. He's a target monster. Even in his rookie season, he played 15 games. He had 122 targets, 92 catches, 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns. Okay. His next season, year 2, he had 149 targets for 104 catches, 1,200 yards, 5 touchdowns. So he took a dip in touchdowns that year for whatever the reason was. In year 3, he had 147 targets, 125 catches for 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns. Okay. Those are just unbelievable numbers. And a lot of these years, besides his rookie year when he had Brandon Cooks, it's kind of like he was like the only receiver, the only receiving threat. Okay. In year 4, he had 185 targets. 185 targets. Mind you that Drew Brees got hurt, so it's, he was catching passes from Teddy Bridgewater as well. So 185 targets for 149 receptions. 149 receptions for 1,700 yards, 9 touchdowns. It's crazy. The guy has great hands, great player, terrible attitude. So we move on to running backs. Alvin Kamara has been one of the most unique running backs since he's been in the league. Now, you have Latavius Murray coming in after Mark Ingram left, because it just seems like Alvin Kamara cannot handle a full workload. That's just my opinion, but who knows? Maybe he can do it this season. I don't know. But he just seems like a guy who is better off being complimented. Okay. And they also brought in Ty Montgomery this year. Then they have Dwayne Washington from Oakland on the roster as well. But we're going to focus on Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray. So one unique thing about Alvin Kamara is that he's very great in the passing game. He knows how to run routes. He gets open and he's a talented receiver out the backfield. Sometimes he'll line up in the slot. You can use him all over the place. So his first season, he was targeted 100 times. Year 2, targeted 105 times. Year 3, 97 times for a running back. Okay, and he has caught 81 catches each and every year. So year 1, year 2, year 3, he caught exactly 81 catches. Okay. He's had 800 plus yards, 700 plus yards, 500 plus yards. Last year, his game took a dip, took a hit. For some reason, I don't know if it was with Drew Brees being out. And then, of course, he had that lingering injury. So he really wasn't himself. But the most rushing yards he's had in any season is 883 yards. So he's never had a 1,000-yard season. But he has had a season of 14 rushing touchdowns. Call it what you want. It's hard to get 14 rushing touchdowns. We all know he's a smaller back, but he knows how to score. Like I said, he's a special back. I think the Saints will really figure out how to maximize his talents this year. Entering year 4, he's due for a payday. So contract year Kamara, sign me up. If I'm drafting in fantasy, Kamara is probably the 3rd running back that I take off the board. But this is not a fantasy podcast. I will be doing a fantasy episode for sure. So let's get into the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks for the Saints. Of course, you got Drew Brees. But outside of that, they had a new addition. They added Jameis Winston on a 1-year deal. He took a super cheap deal that didn't make a lot of sense, but he's here. Then you have Taysom Hill. So Taysom Hill is going to be that guy who comes in, does some Wildcat type stuff. He can pass the ball. He can run the ball. He can catch the ball. They use Taysom Hill as a fullback. They use him as a backup wide receiver. They use him just all over the place. And he plays special teams. So you're getting a lot of value out of Taysom Hill. But let's go back to Drew Brees. Drew Brees had a heck of a season last year. Drew Brees, for the most part, is very consistent. Every single year, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever do it. It's going to be fun, like I said earlier, seeing Tom Brady and Drew Brees face off twice a year. And I hope that both guys play at least 2 more seasons each. I think it's going to be good for the NFL. Ever since Drew Brees has come to the Saints, he's put up amazing numbers. I guarantee you that the San Diego Chargers wish they would have kept him. They didn't know what they had. Just look at the numbers. Every year, he's gotten at least 4,400 yards. At least 4,400 yards. Plenty years of 5,000 yards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons of 5,000 yards or more. Every year he's tossing 34 touchdowns, 33 touchdowns. He had a year that he tossed for 46 touchdowns, 43 touchdowns. He's just a legend, okay? I'm not going to get into his numbers and tell you how great Drew Brees is. Drew Brees is just great. Look at what Drew Brees did last year in only 11 games. Mind you, he had that thumb injury, still came back and finished the season. So he played in 11 games last year. He threw for just under 3,000 yards. He threw for 27 touchdowns and 4 picks. The last 3 years, 4 picks, 5 picks, 8 picks. So he really protects the ball. He doesn't, especially as he has gotten older, he is really protecting the ball, and then he's really scoring. I mean, I don't know how this guy does it. He's very accurate, one of the most accurate quarterbacks to ever play the game. So it's going to be really, really fun to see what he does this year with some new tools like Emmanuel Sanders. That's going to be a great addition. It's going to be kind of like the year when he had Brandon Cooks and Michael Thomas. So you give Drew Brees some weapons. You got Taysom Hill out there, Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray. Let's talk about Latavius Murray for a little bit. This guy is a bruiser. He's a big back, and he always steps up anytime that Alvin Kamara is gone. Latavius Murray has the potential to be a starting running back. Okay, just because you see him as a backup does not mean that he doesn't have game. He has game. He has skill. He's been 1,000-yard back his second season with the Oakland Raiders. His third season, he's had a 12-touchdown season. So he's one of the better backup running backs in the league, and he's still very young. Okay, well, maybe not that young, but he's 30 years old. That's still very, very good, very, very good age for a running back, especially for one who doesn't have a lot of miles. This is only his just finished his 6th season, so he's going into a 7th season, and he's 30 years old. It's not bad. It's not bad. Not a lot of wear and tear, and then him being a backup the last 3 years is really, giving him some fresh legs. So, like I said, the last 3 seasons for Latavius Murray, he's had 8 touchdowns. He's had 6 touchdowns and 5 touchdowns. He's just a solid back. Like I said, he can really be a starter in the NFL. So you get that out the backfield. One of the better duos in the league. I mean, I hear Zeke and Pollard. I hear who has some top combos. Oh yeah, you got Melvin Gordon and Lindsey. So there's some top duos in the league, but I believe this one is one of the best, if not the best. All right, let's talk Bucs offense. So they really improved their offensive line this year. Right tackle Tristan Wirfs was a great pickup in the first round. I really love that move. They got Kappa, they got Jensen at center, Marpet at guard, Donovan Smith at LT. That's a very solid 5 right there. I believe this 5 right here is going to be very, very solid for Tom Brady. And if Tristan is the real deal, like, this offense can be very scary because Tom Brady has all the weapons. Okay, tight ends. They have the best 3 tight end trio in the entire league. You got Rob Gronkowski, who all he does is score touchdowns. Rob Gronkowski has the potential to score 10 touchdowns this year. He might not have a lot of yards, but when you get into the red zone, Tom Brady's going to be looking for Gronkowski. You got O.J. Howard, young, but hasn't really reached his potential. And I think he can learn a lot from Rob Gronkowski. O.J. Howard could get traded, but then again, he might not. Cameron Brate is another solid tight end. They can run a lot of 2 tight end sets. They can be some 3 tight end sets, especially in the red zone. That's where Tom Brady really thrives. He knows how to use his tight ends. I've seen him throw to some tight ends that were not good and made them look good. We move on to the wide receivers. Scotty Miller had a decent year last year. I think he takes a step this season as the wide receiver 3. You got Chris Godwin, who probably might be the best receiver on the Bucs. Bucs fans, don't beat me up. Chris Godwin is really good. He can do it all. Now, Mike Evans is the most gifted receiver for the Bucs. Both guys, 1,000-yard wide receivers, explosive wide receivers, superstar receivers. But let's dive into Chris Godwin real quick. I know he's in this last year of his contract. We'll see what the Bucs do with him. I don't know if they'll be able to bring him back. It all depends on if the money's right. If the money's right, Chris Godwin is going to be back. If he does not get what he thinks he deserves from the Bucs, then he's gone. He's going to get a lot of money in the open market. Also, 3 years with the Bucs, and it's crazy that the Bucs had Chris Godwin, Deshaun Jackson, and Mike Evans, and they couldn't make this thing work. It's crazy. But anyways, in his second season, that's when he really started to take a step. He had 800 yards and 7 touchdowns. Then in year 3, which was this past year, he really just blew up. The targets were there. So he had 121 targets, caught 86 catches for 1,300 yards and 9 touchdowns. That's explosive. Those are mega wide receiver one numbers, and the Bucs just happen to have 2 wide receiver ones. How many teams can say they have 2 wide receiver ones? So we'll see what happens. But as far as this season, Chris Godwin is going to eat. He's going to eat. And then he just gave his number to Tom Brady. So you know Tom Brady's he's gonna show plenty love to Chris Godwin. Now, Mike Evans is one of those unique talents. Coming into the draft 2014, the guy has been nothing short but amazing. Every single year he's been in the league, he's had 1,000 yards or more. That's amazing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons of 1,000 yards. Of course, year 1, he had 12 touchdowns. Year 2, 3. Then year 3, 12 touchdowns. Then 5, 8, and 8. So the touchdowns might not be as high as it has been in the past, especially his first 3 seasons when he had 12 in his first and his third year. But I think with Tom Brady, Mike Evans can now get back into double-digit touchdowns. Chris Godwin is probably going to be like around 7, 8. But I think Mike Evans is going to be at least double figures, at least 10 touchdowns. And I think Gronkowski gets 10 touchdowns. And then they have a boatload of tight ends. So if I'm projecting 2 pass catchers to have at least 10 touchdowns each and Chris Godwin to have at least 7, Tom Brady is probably in for a 40 touchdown season. Hot take. But I think he can very well do it. I think this is the best receiving core that Tom Brady's ever had. Granted, the Randy Moss and the Wes Welker was special. I'm not taking nothing away from that. But when you have Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Gronkowski, O.J. Howard, Brait, okay? Then you draft a Tyler Johnson, who was one of my favorite receivers in the draft. I think he's going to help. He might not get a lot of playing time, but it's really going to depend on what Scotty Miller does. But I think Tyler Johnson has a potential to really add to this offense. He's a special receiver. Then we get on to the running backs. You got Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones. I don't know why I always want to say Ronald Jones the third. It's Ronald Jones the second. So you got Ronald Jones the second, and you got Keyshawn Vaughn. Let's start with Ronald Jones the second. Ronald Jones is a unique running back. He has the skill, but he hasn't put it all together. Okay, the last 2 years, Peyton Barber has just been in his way. Now Peyton Barber is out, and Ronald Jones has the keys. Okay, last season he had 700 plus yards and 6 touchdowns. Okay, solid. He caught 40 passes. Sorry, he was targeted 40 times, caught 31 passes for another 300 yards. So over 1,000 yards from scrimmage and 6 touchdowns. It's not bad. For those of you guys who play fantasy, Ronald Jones is going to be a nice little PPR back. If Tom Brady can help Ronald Jones expand his game, especially in passing downs, he can really be effective. So Ronald Jones has an opportunity to take that jump. I see him being 1,000-yard back, rushing the ball. Now, if he can catch about 40, 50 passes, maybe about 400 yards receiving, hey, the Bucs might be on to something. I really like Ronald Jones, and I think this is the year he takes that step. But if for some reason that Ronald Jones does not take that step, the Bucs just drafted this boy named Keyshawn Vaughn. Now, I'm not going to lie. I did not know a lot about him. Even though I live in Nashville, Tennessee, I do not watch Vanderbilt. Even though I love watching the SEC, I do not watch Vanderbilt. So I went to look at some tape on this guy named Keyshawn Vaughn. This guy right here has the potential to be special. He was drafted in the 3rd round He's 5'10", 214 pounds. The guy has elite speed. The guy can catch. He's a playmaker. He's one of those guys that if you put the ball in his hands in space, my. Keyshawn Vaughn. For those of you guys who play fantasy, and if you're playing in a keepers league or in a dynasty league, look out for Keyshawn Vaughn. That's all I'm going to say. Just go look at some tape on Keyshawn Vaughn. That's going to be a nice combo between Keyshawn Vaughn and Ronald Jones second. So I think the Bucs are set at running backs. Now, Tom Brady at the quarterback. Of course, you got Blaine Gabbert and Ryan Griffin. Solid vets, but spot Tom Brady. Tom Brady, to some, is the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. I believe that Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. You might not like him, but you got to respect his greatness. But with Tom Brady being 42 years old, how much does he really have in the tank? If the Bucs can protect Tom Brady, he has a potential to score close to 40 touchdowns. I'm not going to say he's going to score 40 touchdowns, but I would say that I believe that Tom Brady is going to be anywhere between 32 to 38 touchdowns. That's the range I see him in, 32 to 38. Do not be surprised if Ronald Jones and Keyshawn Vaughn struggle to score in the red zone or pound it in at the goal line. Tom Brady is going to be forced to either do his magical QB sneaks or, find his tight ends. So with the tight ends that he has, that's what's making me think he can score anywhere between 32 to 38 touchdowns this season. And of course, we know that Tom Brady is careful with the football for the most part. I see him passing for at least 4,300 yards, 4,500 yards. But I won't be surprised if he's under 4,200 yards, just because, if the running game is good, if the defense is good, he might not have to pass for a lot of yards, but you will see a lot of touchdowns. I'm telling you that right now. So the Bucs and Saints, it's going to be fun. It's going to be must-see TV. Of course, Tom Brady and Drew Brees are chasing records. They're up there in just about every quarterback stat. So it's going to be interesting to see where these two quarterbacks end, in terms of like stats in their careers. Bucs and Saints, man. I'm not going to say who has the better quarterback or who has the better receivers, who has the better running backs and things of that nature. I just kind of wanted to just lay some things out there and let you guys decide. So I want you guys to hit me up on Twitter, hashtag, TSWM, Talking Sports with Manny 2020. So TSWM 2020. And, just hit me with what you guys think. Let me know how many games you think the Bucs are going to win, how many games you think the Saints are going to win. Obviously, the Saints are the better team because, they've been together longer. They pretty much have their system intact. For some reason, if there's not an off season or a training camp, Tom Brady learning the offense and learning his players, that can be an issue starting the season. But the Saints have that togetherness. They've been together longer. So, I give that edge to the Saints as, who's the better team. But in terms of talent, they both are very talented, man. I really don't know who's going to be the better team. It's going to be pretty exciting to see how things go this season, especially with 7 teams making the playoffs. It's going to be very interesting. So every game is really going to count. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in into another episode. I appreciate the love that you guys are giving me out there on all the social media platforms. Be sure to share this podcast with one other person. Please leave me a review on the Apple Podcasts or whatever platform that you do use. Subscribe, share, follow me on Twitter at TS with Manny, Instagram, TS with Manny, on Facebook, Talking Sports with Manny. Thank you guys so much. And if you guys have any comments, be sure to hashtag TSWM, Talking Sports with Manny 2020. Thank you guys so much. Love y'all. Y'all be safe out there. There's a lot going on. Just please be safe out there. Love you guys.